And, you know, I was driving here this morning, I'm thinking, what can I say that I've never said before? I could find nothing, because you know what? I could say everything over and over again. So what I want us to do is to give a huge welcome to our beloved Liberace minister, Global Heart, Reverend Mark Johnson.
Wow, how do you follow that? I have to say, the miracles on this island are so amazing. Joan walked up to me this morning, gave me this little miracle. Not so little if you live on the mainland. I went like, what is that? It looks like an avocado, but it's way bigger than one that we get over there. So there are miracles everywhere that I look around this island. It's truly amazing how I resonate on this island. And I'm going to share a story with you today that is truly, to vision and to imagine is the greatest gift God gave you, is imagination. If you're imagining a world that falls apart, that's what you're going to get. And we teach this. Or if you're imagining a world that works for everyone, or imagining heaven, what would heaven look like for you? What would heaven look like for you? And each of you are welcome to have a heart that you can put on your refrigerator to go, imagine heaven, what would that look like today? How about everybody cooperated and I didn't have anybody passing me on the right? You know, it's just one of those things that we have to learn to love out loud. That is our theme for this month. And it reminds me of a shirt that I have that says, love is love. No matter what, we put the conditions on what that is by our expectations. So love is love. It has no conditions. It is so indescribable that you really can't describe it but in a personal way. It's your own way of perceptions. My subject today is love thy neighbor as thyself. And I say it this way, I love my neighbor as myself. And so this is kind of unconventional, but this is how I believe. My neighbor is myself. When I encounter a person walking through this life, they are a reflection of me at some level. Because, as our friend Daniel over here knows, everything's connected. Everything's connected. And we are all one. And so when I get to a neighbor or a person that's coming into my presence, I know that at some level I've attracted that, because the law of attraction, which we teach here, tells you you're attracting it. And so then I get to look at it and I get to go, is this something I want to attack, or is this something I want to love? Because ultimately, they don't care. The healing happens in me. If I attack, I've held on to the attack. They walk off and do what they're doing with their own perception. So it's obvious to me that we need to just extend love and recognize that there is love and then there's calls for love. And there are calls for love that look very dysfunctional, and they come up in sometimes in my past as a therapist, I used to see a lot of dysfunction. I used to think, is the world full of crazy people? Yeah, we are. We are. I love that crazy love. I thought, perfect. So God has a divine game that I'm going to tell you about. The first commandment, he said, is love God with all thy heart and thy mind and thy body. Now, it's hard to love your body because you think, God, this is so limited. What is this thing we're in? Because we are actually spiritual beings having a body experience. And so, but we first have to look at, if you're going to love God with all your heart, your mind, and your body, you need to redefine God. Not what the religions told you, but what you feel inside. What is God to you? God is love to me. God is a big intelligence that is for me, not against me. Einstein said, the greatest decision you'll ever make is the universe friendly or hostile? Because out of that particular belief system will come your entire existence. So that's the first one, is love God, but find the God that you want, not the one that you were taught. That is just teaching, and those people may have had errors in their teaching. The second is to love thy neighbor as thyself, because that's who we're dealing with all the time. Every person that plugs you in is a part of yourself that you may need to forgive. And God is so infinite in intelligence that if you don't forgive that one, you'll draw another one in a different body with the same issue. And you get to go, oh no, not this again. Yes, over and over and over until finally we go, okay, I'll forgive him. I'm done. I've seen it 12 times. I'm over it. Okay, God, I give him back to you. I have no idea what to do with this person. And the interesting thing about that particular process is that when I do that, they disappear out of my life. They're gone because I no longer need the lesson. I just don't need it anymore. I think, wow, why didn't I do that 12 times ago? So forgiveness is a process that's layering, because sometimes we want to hold on and not forget. That's not complete forgiveness. In the Course in Miracles, it says that whatever you think offended you really is an illusion, and it never really happened anyway. Now, that's a hard concept to catch. It's a really hard concept to really work on, but I worked on it for years. And you realize that I'm the perception that perceived the wrongdoing. The person was doing the best they could. Rumi said, everyone's suffering in their own way. And so you have to have compassion. That's what he said. Have compassion for that person. You don't know if they cried themselves to sleep the night before. They might have, and then they're hurt. Would you attack someone that's hurt? No. But we are human, and we have our own perceptions, and we match our perceptions with their perceptions and think, well, they're different. No. They're still spiritual beings here learning about this planet of duality. Good, bad, evil, good. So learning to love thy neighbor starts really by loving ourselves first. Because if we love ourselves from the inside out, then we don't attract those people as much. We just don't attract them. They don't show up to plug us in or activate us. And if you think about, there's probably a person in your consciousness that activates you. Mine's my partner. This is my savior. It's always like, oh, I didn't think I thought that. I guess I do. And my way of doing that is when that different perception comes to me, I think, oh my God, you weren't born in my family, were you? We don't know anything about what you're talking about. And so it's really an adventure in enlightenment, really, to have a partner, because you think, wow. Now, for you that don't have partners, that's okay too. You have solitude. Maybe you've ascended because you don't have to have a partner. I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm working on it. But I think all of us are working on it here on this plane. We come here actually pre-approved, and then we think, oh, I need approval from everybody. That's taught to us during the domestication process of wanting acceptance from everyone. What if you did this strange thing and just accepted yourself? What if you just said, I accept myself, I'm doing the best I can, and that's all I can do right now? That is going towards enlightenment, because you realize love comes from within, it doesn't come from without. Those people that are searching for the perfect mate, they are their perfect mate, but they never got it. I had to do that. I had many, what I would call interviews that were most interesting. And I have to say that I learned from those interviews what I didn't want. And I usually were like, bye, see you later, this doesn't work. However, when you take the interviews that you've had, and then you look at them and see the wisdom in them of what did I not get from that relationship, what happens is you think, well, I have to give myself the gift of the opposite of that. I've got to give myself affection, love myself, touch myself, enjoy myself. I've got to, be affectionate to other people if I want affection. I have to be clear thinking if I want to get clear thinking from other people. And so that reversed that in me so that I was able to find my life partner. I basically was tired of dating and interviewing. And I think there's a lot of people like that here. This is what happens. So I'm going to tell you about also, I wanted to bring Ernest in here. I love Ernest. His quotes are just, this book is just filled with quotes, but I just love them all. But this is a couple of them that I'd like to share with you to remember things. Peace in the world originates within me and projects outward into living life. That's a big thought. When you think about it, really? The ego's like, no, we got to fix everything. No, you can't fix anything but your perception. That's the only thing you can fix. The person in front of you is giving you an opportunity to change your perception. Can you love that particular being that's right in front of you? I can. I may not understand them, for they didn't have my life. I may not understand their childhood, which may have been very difficult. My childhood was pretty much like the Wizard of Oz. This was strange. I'm still in Oz, I think. Anyway, the other thing that he said is in all the neighborhoods of this earth, we must choose to release our focus on human differences and refocus on our likenesses. This is what we've got in our world today. We have a divisive world of like, I don't like you and you don't like me and we got to do this. It's an illusion. Let's look at people as people. They're all in this together. We're all in this giant consciousness of learning to love ourselves. And some people are at this level, some people at that level, and it's okay. Just accept you're in charge of your level perception. If you're doing that, you're on focus. Don't worry about what other people think, because they're going to think what they're going to think. And I think that book is wonderful. What you think of me is none of my business. It was Terry Cole Whitaker wrote that book. I'm going to share a thing that happened for me. Most of you know, there's still some feeling there. My partner and I lost our farm in 2018. It was real because we walked through it. I walked through it. I was here when the lava came. And I said to the Holy Spirit, what is this? Because I thought I was living a spiritual life. And I thought, what's this little opportunity that I'm seeing? So ultimately what I realized was that I'm not my stuff, that I am the Spirit of God in a body. And it led me to go to the mainland for a while, but in my heart I knew I'd always be here. And I knew that I would return to this island because it is the home of my heart. Each of you know this because you were guided here by that spirit inside of you through all sorts of amazing conditions and insights and everything. But you are here by divine appointment. And so I kept this, which is something I have always had, is like, imagine heaven now. What would that look like, Mark Johnson? I would live on the big island in a wonderful place that I really loved, and I would live there. And I've been doing that for 5 years. Now, my partner's all about, we're being on the mainland, we're living over here, we're going to do this and do that. When you love, you have to be flowing. You have to be fluid and just allow and let things happen. And so through a series of what I can only call the Spirit, we were led to a piece of property here. After I'd given it up, I said, okay, God, I'm still seeing me living on the big island, but I don't know how that's going to happen, you know. And when this opportunity came up, it came through this loving person I really adore. And I realized that this was something I needed to share with my partner, Ryan. And I said, so I was sitting on the deck with this person, and we were having a few glasses of wine. And I said, if this ever becomes available, please let me know. and the lot next to the person, because it was a beautiful lot, and I just thought so gorgeous. And at the time, she said to me, "I don't think so, but okay." So this January, I got the call, and I went, "Okay, this is something that I'm visualizing, imagining. I didn't know where. I just said, God, I gotta get back to the Big Island. It's just my heart home. That's where I am." And then I went to my partner, who is usually fairly critical about stuff about that. I've been calling him Debbie Downer, but I just so I just want to tell you that has happened. So I will be back on the island. I will be living here. And so will Ryan. Last thing, a quote from Ernest Holmes. "There is a universal wholeness seeking expression through everything. We're calling it simply life. The religionist calls it God. The philosopher calls it reality. Life is infinite energy coupled with limitless creative imagination. It is the invisible essence and substance of every visible form. Its nature is goodness, truth, wisdom, and beauty, as well as energy and imagination. Our highest satisfaction comes from a sense of conscious union with this invisible life. All human endeavor is an attempt to get back to the first principles, to find such an inward wholeness that all sense of fear, doubt, and uncertainty vanishes." Mine has vanished. Yeah.